Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Back to You with Niner and Panger. I'm KT. Good to be with you all. Really excited that we've partnered up with Believe, so you can listen to us on all audio platforms. You can watch us visually if you really want to see all of our beautiful faces here on YouTube. But be sure to like and comment and subscribe, because that is obviously very important to us. And we hope you do like it, because why couldn't you like us? I mean, look at the three of us, these big faces over here. But good to see you guys.
Yeah, great job, KT. I agree with you. Look at Niner with his Niner's got his Vancouver Canucks cap on there. He's just given talk as much love as he possibly can to get things going, aren't you, Niner?
Had a little talk with him this morning. Didn't want to reveal too much, but we'll get into it as we talk a little bit. So I'm definitely giving Vancouver a little love.
Yeah, let's talk about that right off the bat, because I mean, it's a big week in the NHL with, the trade deadline coming quickly, Friday, March 8th. So we all love this week. I'm sure a lot of players whose names are being circulated do not like this week. Even players who don't even know their name is out there don't like this week. It can be very difficult as a player. We can talk about that in a second, Panger. But, it's very interesting to me to see what teams do around this time of year, because, you've got the teams that are hovering around that wild card position that you just wonder, are they going to be sellers? Are they going to be buyers? It's such an interesting perspective for a general manager to go through. But let's talk about it just big picture wise, and what you think is going to be the biggest storyline here as we come into the trade deadline.
KT, it's always a great question, and everybody thinks this might be their year. And if you do think it's your year, and you need some component, thinking that not just for this year, but even the next couple of years, if you can get a player with a little bit of term, or a player that you can keep, then you give up better assets, and then you're not afraid to give up maybe a prospect that someone deems to be an A+ prospect, or maybe you're obviously going to give up a high draft pick. So the teams right now that have the assets in the cupboard, that have all the first round picks, that have not only for this year but for the next year, maybe even for 2025, they're the ones that are in good position. The teams that have loaded up in good prospects, something we saw with the Tampa Bay Lightning, that they did very, very well. They developed players in the minors. They won championships in the minors. They waited for those players. Then they were able to, add them to the current team, and at the same time keep developing players. And that's the way to do it. If you don't have that, there's probably some teams out there, KT, that wish they could get something, but they just don't have the picks, because, so that's just the bottom line. But I believe that this year, more teams think this is open. There's a lot of opportunity to win a Stanley Cup. Is there a class of the league? Last year, the Boston Bruins were the class of the league, one of the greatest seasons in the history of the National Hockey League. And still they got knocked off by the Florida Panthers. That if Chicago didn't beat Pittsburgh in the second last game, Florida doesn't even get in. So, I mean, there's a lot of what ifs and buts, but I would say that there's going to be a bit of an arms race here. I think we're going to be surprised by some of the players that get moved, and the quality of the players that do get moved in this trade deadline day.
So, I'm looking at the standings right now as of when we're recording this on Monday, March 4th. So we are 4 days away from the deadline. We're going to start to see some movement in the next 2-3 days. But, looking at these standings, Panger, who's going to make a big push? Who are the contenders right now?
Okay, well, let's take a gander here at the teams. Let's go to the East for now, and let's start it with the East if we can, because we're sitting here with a team like, Washington. And by the way, hats off to Washington.
Yeah.
Did anybody have them even this close at this point?
No, not at all. There's currently
great
fourth
job. Their coaching
position.
staff. They're sitting there at 65. The Islanders, Lou Lamoriello's, he's always sniffing around at something. Every time somebody thinks that he's going to be a seller and move some things, he ends up adding something. So they're behind Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. I'm sure they would love to have a defenseman to replace Sergachev. Mm-hmm. So does a Noel Hanifin end up there? I think, if you're going to replace a Sergachev and you're lacking in your top four, well, you can't go out and get a 3, 4, 5. Not a 3, a 5, 6, 4, 5, 6 depth.
Right.
Defenseman. You need an impact defenseman. So, there's an opening right there, but do they have the assets to get that done in a deal? I don't think Detroit, I'm not sure if Detroit does anything. Steve has done a great job of putting this together. He spent years in doing so and made some free agent signings. I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of room there. I would say, just in watching that game on the weekend, it was an ESPN game. Florida came in. Did you watch that Niner and KT? It was kind of a, Florida went in there thinking, if this is going to be our first round opponent, let's just kind of not rough it up a little bit, but man, every scrum they were grabbing stinky leather mitts in the face every single scrum. So, I mean, could they get tougher? Could they have a little burlierness, or maybe they learned something from that game? But on the other side, I don't think Philly's got 2 UFA defensemen, Walker and Sealer. It wouldn't surprise me if they moved one of the two and still loaded up the cupboard asset wise. Carolina. Boy, they're a pretty darn good team. The Rangers are a good team. I can see the Rangers adding a third-line centerman. I always thought that maybe there's a lot of talk about Vetrano or an Adam. Adam Henrique's had a heck of a year. Yes. He's been off the grid, and deservedly so. He didn't play very well for a couple of years. So that's but he's fixed his game. Since then, he's had a baby. He didn't have the baby. His wife Lauren had the baby. But anyway,
thank you for clarifying.
I think he's finding his game again, and I think that's an interesting player. And I think Pat Verbeek's been seeing it a few of those games with the Rangers and a few areas around there. But boy, Toronto's always in the mix. But they made that move with Lyubushkin, though he got hurt. Boston. What's Boston do?
I don't think they do anything. I don't think they do much. I don't know, why they. Let's get to Boston in a second. I have a question because you skipped right over New Jersey. And so you talk about Noah Hannafin and you talk about the defense. We all watched that game that you broadcasted, Panger, on Sunday. The Devils got, beat up by the LA Kings. They scored the opening goal. It looked like all things were a go. And then LA just dominated that game. And, you heard during the broadcast, and Edzo mentioned it a number of times, but the leaky defense. So is that a team?
And goaltending.
Do they consider themselves in the thick of this wild card race in the East? I mean, they're currently sitting 6th in the wild card spot, but this is a good team, or do they try and go make a run for it? Or does Fitzy kind of stay put? What do you think the Devils are going to do?
If I can just chime in real quick.
Go ahead, Niner.
Yeah, go ahead, bud.
Looking at New Jersey, that was one of the topic of conversations that I had over the weekend. When they go out on this West Coast trip, they get nothing done, and they're sitting at 64 points. So they're 8 points out of a wild card right now. With the deadline 4 days away, I got to believe if New Jersey hasn't already got Markstrom or someone along those lines that they've been talking to Calgary about and getting goaltending, I got to believe they turn into sellers at this point. They're the biggest surprise to me after the year that they had last year, the progress that they made last year with some of the young kids, to fall as far back as they have this year. And at 64 points, 8 points out of a spot. I mean, after this weekend, I think you got to become sellers if I'm New Jersey. What are you going to give up for Markstrom? At that point, what do you do?
Yeah, well, Jacob Markstrom has already come out to Niner and KT and just mentioned just how disappointed he was and how that got out publicly, how it was thrown around for so long, and he was disappointed with how that went, and made that quite clear. I don't see that play happening
not anymore
for me. I think that was a 2 weeks ago play. Maybe a 3 week ago play. And because it didn't go through, I'm with you on that. I don't see New Jersey as being a playoff team. People will go to the goaltender and say, Kira Schmid let's even go to Dawes a little bit. He's a young kid. He's a prospect. He's been put in a tough spot right here. All their save percentages, it's 89%, it's 88%, but I don't think they defend well enough. So I'm going to lay off the goaltending. I think too many people just go automatically to the goaltending. I think their defensive structure and their lack of boxing out in their own zone, they're a team that doesn't stop on plays from what I see. And also they're a team that in that game against LA, I think LA showed a lot of people that they're ready to play right now. They did a great job in the middle of the ice, and they gave a very tricky Devils team nothing. Right. And I made a joke of it after the game. Not a joke of it, but I said I could have got my 28th career win in that one for the LA Kings. And that's just because LA protected the net and the house so well that the shots were from the outside. I'm sure Cam Talbot would agree with me on that it was a good win, but it was a relatively efficiently easy win for him as a goaltender.
Sure.
And so anyway, going back to the New Jersey Devils, I don't see much of a play. Yeah, right here. I just don't. I don't see a goalie coming in there. I think that's a draft day thing. I think that's a next year thing. And I've seen, and in fairness to the New Jersey Devils guys, they're not the first young team that experienced an unbelievable season, knocking off the New York Rangers and coming back and taking 2 steps back. They took 5 steps forward last year, and this is disappointing for them. But if they can't learn from this and get better next year, well, then you've got a problem. But I'm going to say that next year they're going to come back a stronger team, a better defending team, and understanding what their deficiencies are, because there are too many deficiencies for me for all the skill that they do have on that team.
Yeah.
Well, gang, on this show, we like to showcase an event or a story which caught our attention as relates to an achievement featuring hard work and dedication of one's craft. That's exactly what Back to You is all about. This is powered by Miura Golf. And when you think of Miura Golf, you think of Katsuhiro Miura, the founder of Miura Golf, and he's mastered the art of steel. Take a look at this. That's hand forged, baby, right there. That's what this is all about. Every forged club is handcrafted at the factory in Himeji, Japan, where Miura's meticulous process and attention to detail highlight the family's unwavering pursuit of perfection. And if that isn't Back to You, I don't know what is.
No, it's a good perspective. And then that takes me back to Boston then. So this is a team that's 3-2-5 in their last 10. Not exactly the way, you don't want to be limping into the postseason. When you look at the team ahead of them, Florida, they've gone 9-1, so they're just rolling at the right time, winners of 4 in a row. I'm curious, you mentioned Boston, Panger, and Niner. I want to get your thoughts too. Like, what do you think would be a missing piece, something they may want to go get to make a really good run in the playoffs and avoid what happened last year?
What do you think, Niner?
Well, I look at Boston.
Let's just go through it here right now, as the lineups are right now, Niner.
Yeah.
Danton Heinens with Pavel Zacha and Pasternak, if I read this correctly on Daily Faceoff.
Yep.
Marchand, Coyle, and DeBrusk. Van Riemsdyk, Morgan Geeky's having a heck of a season, and Trent Frederick, he's a good playoff sound player. Lauko, Boquist, I like this Boquist, Justin Brazeau. So, I mean, it's clear to me that, and it's hard to say this because they're such a good team, and normally you don't say, well, they need a top 6 forward. But as I look at it, I mean, I don't think that, I think they could use some help up there.
Yeah.
And if the worst case scenario is they get a little bit of help maybe on that third line, it's a tough one. I think Danton Heinen has to go down the roster, down the line, for them to be a competitive 4 rounds of playoffs kind of team. So,
and I look at Boston's standings. Boston's 35, 13, and 14. That number 14 sticks out to me big time. They're sitting with 84 points, but I mean, their play of late has not been great. The OTLs having 14 of those. One of the names that I hear coming up circulating around the rinks is Jake DeBrusk. I mean, he's had talks with Boston in the past. Could he be moved? Could he stay? If they're looking to tinker with the lineup, could that be anyone that they have for trade bait there? I've heard that. I mean, obviously on the back end, they've got a good goaltending tandem. They're solid there, but when I look at it, I mean, in the East, Florida Panthers are just on a roll right now. And I really don't see anyone beating Florida coming out of the East. I don't. I don't think they have to do much. Maybe, if anything, they might add a piece on the back end. But if you look at their top 4 lines, they've got the scoring, the playmaking, the grit, the defensive play. They're solid down the middle. Their special teams is unbelievable. And, you hate to face a hot Bob.
They're the class of the East right now, I think, too.
Bob gets hot, watch out.
I think so, too. Well, we were having this discussion on TNT yesterday on the panel on Sunday afternoon, and, talk about Noah Hannafin and as an example, because he's the biggest and best piece there that was not just for now, but for the future. So you could make that kind of trade, sign him to an extension, and you've got whatever assets you give up, you're going to get a really good defenseman for a number of years. But, they've got Forsling's done a heck of a job there. Is he the most underrated defenseman in the NHL? KT, he might be.
Yeah, one of them, definitely.
So the right side is Ekblad. Montour is a heck of a playoff player because he is not afraid of anything, and he skates. He can drive the offense too as well, and he jumps in and he shoots the puck. Kulikov's played well for them. He'd been injured before. They found the player they wanted. He's played well. Ekman Larsson's played well, found his game, and Nico Mikkola. So Hanifin, does he improve his team? Yes, he does, but they're pretty solid without Noah Hanifin. I don't think they have. This is just me. I'm not sure if they have to make a move. It's a team that went to the final last year, and this group is on fire. And they've added Stenlund, who's a great penalty killer. Lundell, Luosterainen. These guys are coming on. And so I like this hockey club. I like the way they play. I think they're a pain in the ass. I think they get under your skin, but then they know how to get out. They know how to agitate. They know how to get out. They know how to get under your skin, and then they know how to score on the power play. And so anyway, I'm not sure if I would do anything if I were the Florida Panthers. I'd be okay with that.
Hey, KT, let me ask you this. Let's go down to the wild card teams and who's on the cusp of missing. So let's take Detroit and Tampa are the 2 wild card holders, correct, at this point in time.
Yep.
You go Islanders, Capitals,
they're 6 points up.
Islanders, Capitals, Devils, Penguins. Do you really see any change on that bottom end? I don't really see anybody leapfrogging anybody, to be honest with you. So what are those teams?
No, I don't see a change. I see that lane as it is.
Me too.
The only thing is, with Philadelphia, they've had an outstanding year. A phenomenal year. Can they hang on there? There's still a team at 71 that could get picked here.
Yeah.
So the team that would pass them would probably be the Islanders, if anybody. If they were to jump in and Philly jump out, correct?
Probably.
The Islanders have been playing better as of late.
They've been hot and cold this season.
Can do it.
Yep.
Yeah, they do. They've won 3 in a row. Yeah, they're pushing. Washington
was pushing. They shot themselves in the foot yesterday, losing to Arizona. That's just a bad loss.
Can we throw out a rumor that's out there? And I love talking rumors because it's just fun. But, Biz throws out Sidney Crosby to Colorado. And I'm like, is that even a possibility? Could we really see Sidney Crosby moved from the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Well, I think that would be up to him, wouldn't it?
It would be, but right. And by the way, it's not just a recipe. Let's just go. It's not just like, oh, you move Sid, he's now paired with McKinnon and they're going to win another cup. That's not the way this works. But I think a lot of people think that maybe if he goes to Colorado and, he and McKinnon can play with one another. But I just find it hard to imagine, getting this far in his career. However, we've seen it before, with longtime players in one franchise go try and play 1 or 2 more years to win another cup elsewhere. But I don't know. It's an interesting topic to debate.
Well, it is because it's synonymous with Ray Bourque and then Pierre Lacroix, the late Pierre Lacroix, one of the great GMs and masterminds in the game of hockey, and he pulled off a couple of improbables, starting with the Patrick Roy and then going to the Raymond Bourque, and so this. I'm not saying it's got legs because this is all up to the Pittsburgh Penguins, all up to Kyle, and it's all up to to Mario, and that would be in stunning fashion to make a move like this. But let's just say Gensel gets traded. Let's just say the Penguins get emptied and the tank gets emptied. What would the future look like with Sidney for the remaining of his career?
Yeah.
To me, it's hard to get back into the playoff hunt. It's hard to turn things over. You just go ask the New Jersey Devils that had how many first overall draft picks in a 10-year, 11-year plan. People said, oh, they really turned it around quickly. No, they didn't. No.
Yeah.
They had first overalls, fourth overalls. They made significant trades for the Timo Myers. They had 10th overalls. It's not easy.
Right.
He may not ever make the playoffs again as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's just the facts. If you look at the history of the game, if they're emptying the cupboard,
and I think,
that the way that they're not the same tein.
No.
And that loss in Calgary, that was a devastating loss to their morale and to any kind of momentum for them. So I'm in Denver right now. I've got a game with the Blackhawks on a Monday night, and I've got a game on Wednesday night back here in Denver for TNT. Actually, Detroit. Well, that'll be a heck of a hockey game. And so I was looking at the whiteboard in the locker room of the Blackhawks. They have the line combinations, as everybody knows. They're written there, and And I look at Troy Murray, who does great radio with WGN in Chicago, and I said, "This is what they need." And I put an 87 right there. I mean, because that's ideally that's what they need. So I ran into Eric Lacroix, the son of Pierre, and he said, "Hey, here comes Crosby down the hallway." Now he's just having fun with everybody too, but it's not like everybody's not thinking about that,
Right.
And
that would be
so because right now, look at. Yeah. Anyway, Colorado is still a really good team, but clearly they are missing something on that second line. So as we look at it and fantasize about maybe a big move like that, there's got to be somebody else in the wings for the president, Joe Sakic, and his staff, because I don't think this gets it done up the middle of the ice for me. Maybe for a round, maybe a competitive second round, but not enough to go all the way for me, even as great as McKinnon has been, and the thoughts that maybe Landeskog can return at some particular point.
Yeah, and speaking of Pittsburgh,
here's some other. And Nichushkin, by the way, came back from the program, the NHL substance program, and not playing on Monday, but I would have to guess that he'll play on Wednesday on TNT against Detroit. So that's a big addition for them as well, as we well know.
For sure.
So there we go.
For sure.
I think with Pittsburgh, Gensel definitely will get moved. I think it's time. I think Pittsburgh has to do something. They probably wish they could take back that Carlson move from last year. It's just so much money, and they just haven't got enough out of it. But I see Gensel being moved.
Can't believe that power play isn't better than what it is.
Yeah. I watched the game last night against Edmonton.
Mind-boggling.
And they, that Calgary game, like you said, Panger, it defeated them so bad, and it showed every bit of it last night in that Edmonton game.
Let's move. Speaking of Edmonton, let's move to the West and talk about the probabilities out there. And I want to address what Talk has done in Vancouver, because this is his first full season with this team. So he's had them since training camp. He's had an opportunity to really develop them the way he wants, get his, system in place. But he's got them in the top of the Pacific, the 85 points. He's leading, just behind. They're leading the West right now as of this recording. Yeah, they're leading the West. First of all, let's talk about Talk for a second, give him a little bit of love. But what has allowed those players to buy into what he's selling? Like, what is it that makes him such a good coach and gets him to get this team totally turned around and in contention out West?
It's a good question. And many people wondered last year, including me, why Talk would leave TNT in a really good position there, that it pays well. It's not stressful, and leave and go to a team like that looked like they were in a bit of disarray, maybe personality wise. Certainly the skill was there, the goaltender was there, but something was obviously missing, and Gabby couldn't kind of get it all together as well. But maybe other teams can take a page from that book, and by bringing him in the last, was that 2.5 months last year? Probably around there, right?
Yep.
Around 2.5 months left in the season.
Playoffs,
just to get familiar with everybody, the players learning what he's all about, how he speaks, system-wise, expectations, accountability, how he puts people in the right place. Somehow Talk's able to put somebody in the right place. And I always thought of this with Daryl Sutter in his prime. He could kick you in the groin and pat you in the back and somehow make you feel good about yourself. And I think Talk has a way of doing that and talking to these players. So my feeling is, because he went there last year, that's a big reason for the success this year. Mm-hmm. So, a coach is going to come in the off season, whatever team it is, and they're going to go through training camp. They're not familiar with the city. They've got, voice. I think they did it the right way, as it turns out. And they were much criticized for how they did that last year. Now, getting back to Talk, listen, he's got to handle some personalities. I wasn't sure that Pettersson was going to re-sign there. Mm-hmm. There seemed to be something, I think, knowing JT Miller and the way he is, highly intense individual. Sometimes I watch him on that bench, and I can be between the benches, and he can go in different directions, and he can go aggressively in different directions. I think the coaching staff has done an incredible job of giving him time to simmer, let him wait, then explain to him. Maybe a lot of coaches went right to JT Miller right away while Well, his heart rate was just beating, and he couldn't maybe process that. And I think Talk does a good job of letting things settle down and then go to him. So whatever Talk's done with him is been A+. And that's why I still believe he's the Jack Adams Award winner in the NHL. But, they've got they make players accountable. And the back checking through the middle of the ice is as good as it gets in the NHL. When you think you got a 3-on-2 against the Vancouver Canucks, bang, they are busting their butt. And I tell you what, JT Miller leads the charge. He's a heavy back checker. He comes back. Besser's been I think he's been a more complete player. He's not a one-trick pony. He's a really good 200-foot player, in my opinion, better than people think. And so, I mean, all that being said, I think Talk has just pushed all the right buttons, and they've gone through a spill right now, guys, hasn't been good, hasn't been fun. You could see the look on their faces when they won, what was that, 2-1 against San Jose? Tough game, but they got off the snide. And it wouldn't surprise me if this team just goes humming again, just like they were at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
and Niner, Talk. Talk well on the social part of it. And you're a hockey fan. You watch them. You watch the demeanor. They got a great coaching staff. They
got a great coaching staff.
They hot stove it. I go in their locker room, in their coach's room after games, KT. Well, the first thing, Talk hands me a beer, but it's like Patrick Alvin. He's their hot stove. You got the Sedin twins aren't figureheads. These guys are on the ice at home every single day. Gonchar comes in more than not. Foot's been great. Mike Yo's outstanding at what he does. They've just got I think they've got a terrific staff. I'm really a big fan of how they talk hockey and how much they love the game of hockey.
They do have a complete staff. They've been working together phenomenally. I talk to Talk on a daily basis, as you guys know. We talk after games. I watch his games. We dissect it. But the thing with Talk, first and foremost, he's so well respected because of the way he played the game. And then with his door always being open, that open door policy, not that any other coaches don't have it, they do. Those players have bought into that open door policy with Talk this year.
Yeah, and you can see it.
And the way that he could take some of those players on the ice, take them to the side, tell them what he needs out of them, he's getting these players to buy into the roles that they need to be. Some of those players thought, hey, I'm a top 6 forward. Well, on this team, you're not. But we need you to buy in as a bottom 6 forward. And they're buying into that, and they're all coming together and meshing. Now, every team's going to go through a little lull or slump, what have you. What they do, they dropped 4 in a row. Okay, they bounced back. They beat Anaheim. It was only a 1-goal game, but they took it to them. But what they've allowed, what Jimmy Rutherford and Patrick Alvin have done, and I don't think they're done this week yet either, by getting Lindholm, that allows them to go 3 deep if they want down the middle now. They can go Pettersson, JT, and Lindholm and have 3 deep down the middle. I can see them adding a winger. If they go out and get a top 6 winger, some of their guys on the back end have been beat up. They're going to get some of those guys back.
You'll get them back.
The goaltending's been phenomenal. Their power play is lethal. They could probably improve the PK a little bit. But they've made the right moves. They made them early enough. Now I think they're just trying to find the right mesh and the right line combination and how deep he wants to go down the middle. Does he want to load up the top 6, or does he want to go 3 deep down the middle? And Teddy Bluger's been great as their 4th-line centerman. So I really like what they have. They have the options, and I think they make one more move. And if anybody can pull it off, it'll be Rutherford and Alvin, and they're actively working those phones.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that one bit. And there's a few good goal scoring and 200-foot wingers that are out there. Gensel being certainly one of those guys, but there's other hidden gems that are out there as well. Sure. The line that most impresses me about what Talk has done, and they're not together right now because of some injuries, but Teddy Bluger with Garland and Dakota Joshua. They've been a handful for all the teams. So that's a banged up group. Bluger's actually on the 4th line, if I'm not mistaken, right now. Yep. They added Sam Lafferty. They got I think they've got the elements right now to go in a lot of different directions. And so anyway, that's pretty sound team right there.
Yeah, Joshua will be back here shortly. I know he's been injured.
Juleson, Friedman, Cole, Hughes. You know what every team does at the deadline? Because Tyler Myers is hurt right now. I mean, every good team that thinks they're going to win, they add a couple of defensemen.
Go get 1 or 2 more defensemen. Exactly. Just in case.
You have to, because you can't take that chance. You never know. So,
I
mean,
exactly.
Mostly all the good teams in the NHL that are really good, they're not looking for a number one. Like Colorado's unique. They really could use a number two centerman. And that's not common, I don't think. That's a hard thing to go find at the deadline that's not with you. They added Zach Parise. Good. I think that's a really good signing. I think they did their research on him. He blends into that locker room, had a chance to talk to him here on a Monday. And so that's a free move right there and a depth move for them. But that Colorado team too, we're talking about Vancouver. Colorado just scares the daylights out of me. So we'll move to them in a second, but where should we go after that? Does Winnipeg do much?
Winnipeg. I'm surprised by Winnipeg, quite frankly. I did not expect them to be leading the
Phenomenal
Central.
Year.
Yeah, unbelievable. And they've got all their good players healthy, which is obviously key. But what's been the key for them this year, Panger, that they've had such great success?
Well, great, obviously great goaltending. I think the locker room.
They've always had
the
locker room.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down this again, but with the locker room. But I think they've just been, the roles are more defined right now, and the leadership group that's taken over right now is just different than what it was. It doesn't mean what it wasn't good, because I think in 2019 and 2020 and in 19, if they beat St. Louis in the first round, I wouldn't have been surprised if Winnipeg went all the way that year, or at least got to the final. They were that good that year. So in saying that, it's not fair to just dump on maybe what they had back then, but I just think that they let the other smaller trees grow around them, and they've really blossomed. And Morris, he's an elite defenseman. I really thought, this is just me, I thought he should have won the Norris Trophy last year. I thought he was that good. Didn't get nearly the recognition for his overall play last year. And I don't like the fact that we just go on points. I mean, I think he was really that good. So I'll go there. And also, KT, they don't waste much time in their own zone with the puck. So system-wise, that puck goes north, and it goes north in a hurry. So their transition's good, and they get out of the way. Dallas added, I'll just run through this, because Dallas added Tanev. Great move. That's a Jim Neal special right there. That's a really good hockey club. If they won the Stanley Cup, I wouldn't be surprised. Depth-wise, they're fantastic. Edmonton, scary. They're coming on. I believe Kenny Holland probably doesn't have as much wiggle room. Maybe it has to be dollar in, dollar out. I don't think he's done yet. I think he understands that this is, he's got some assets too. He's got Philip Bromberg that's, isn't playing, a former first-round pick. He's got some assets that he can maybe move out and add to that group. Vegas will add something, with Stone's injury. Once again, that opens up the door with something long-term. And, that's got a Gensel special written all over it if they've got the assets to go back the other way. And then LA, that's my watch out team right now. I think they're heading in the right direction, and so is the Nashville Predators. And by the way, hats off to Andrew Burnett. That's a guy that's done a phenomenal job in his first year. They fought through it early. They put it together. I'll call them the Sphere team. I mean, ever since they canned the Sphere and the U2 concert, they've been undefeated. That's a great story there with Nashville.
Jack Adams, that could be another really, top pick there for Jack
absolutely.
Adams. The way we discussed the wild card with the way it currently sits, you think Detroit and Tampa Bay, that's going to be the way it stays in the wild card. Do we think LA and Nashville, that's going to be your round out the Western Conference, or is there a chance Calgary or St. Louis sneaks in there?
No, I think it's
Minnesota, St. Louis, Calgary.
I don't see anyone moving. I don't see anyone moving.
No,
too big of a cushion. I know the Blues have a couple games in hand on Nashville, but they're sitting 7 points back to the next possible team to get in that wild card. I just don't see enough time, enough opportunity.
And regulation and overtime wins become a factor here too, KT. Because that's a tiebreaker. And St. Louis got 24, Minnesota's got 23. Calgary was the closest at 25 to compare to 28 and 27 for LA and Nashville. I believe that I believe Nashville's going up. Los Angeles is going up. I got them battling Vegas. I think Vegas is going to have their hands full here. Not that they're not going to make it. They're going to make it, but I'm just saying, in the Pacific, in the top three.
You broke up a little bit.
I just think that
you broke up for a second there, Panger.
The LA Kings, I think. Hotel Wi-Fi. Sorry about that. It's having a little hitch here, probably.
Hey, you're on a work day. No, this has been great, and I know Panger. Yeah, Panger, you've done great and under very difficult circumstances. 5 games in 5 nights? Unbelievable.
high octane.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
KT,
No,
on this note, because you're known in circles as a great reporter in every sport and very versatile, but a lot of hockey fans know you in hockey. Because you've been around hockey and Olympics and everything for such a long period of time and so well respected. This is good for you too to talk a little hockey, because do I understand that you're going to maybe be doing a little bit more hockey? Can you break something for us here?
You're letting the cat out of the bag there. No, I trust me. The more I can talk about hockey leading up to Wednesday is good, because yes, I am rejoining the NHL Network. My good friends there, where I spent a long time way back in the day, 2011 up until 2015, 2016 season. Always watching it. Love the group there. And we've got, I've got a lot of time here this spring. I want to get back doing a bunch more hockey. So we are going to do it. We're going to jump on that set on Wednesday. I'm super excited with Rupper and Weeksy. I mean, of all people, I'm like, it's like we never left each other. I think the last show I ever did was probably with them. But yeah, very excited. We'll be with them through the postseason, and of course, probably jump on with TNT for a bunch of games as well. But it's funny. I just, it's been, my entire career has had some element of hockey in it, and it's just good people. And I'm very grateful that they want me to come back and fill in some scheduling gaps and do what I do. So I'm excited.
Looking forward to it, KT. Well deserved. Can't wait to listen.
Yeah. I'll be joining NHL Now on Wednesday.
For you because you bring
March 6th from 4 to 8. 4 to 6 rather. What's that, Panger?
That's great. You bring great integrity to your reporting. You put the work into it. We know that you care about it, and you care about the NHL and the players. So everybody's going to be just thrilled to see you back on the air on a regular basis. And the great stuff, KT. We're so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm excited. You'll hear more of me. I can't wait. I'm honored. I can't wait. Like you said, get back talking to this game that I love so much. And I'll resume. I'll do the Olympics this summer for NBC, and I'll resume my Big Ten sideline responsibilities in the fall. So nothing's going away. We're just adding, which is what we do, which is great. I love it. I love doing it. I love working.
That beautiful house of yours in the background.
Somebody's got to pay for this, right? That's exactly right. Work. On that note, someone's got to pay for our clothing too, and we have to thank our friends at Johnny O's. Pangers, we're wearing our gear. Niners got his Mura gear on, which is also a wonderful sponsor of ours. We thank Mura for everything they've done. But Johnny O's is offering 15% off. They just launched their women's line, which is amazing. I can vouch for it. They sent me a beautiful box of some samples, and I got to tell you, I posted it on my Instagram if anybody wants to see it. It is comfortable, it's chic, it's classy. But Johnny O's is offering 15% off website wide, male, female, whatever you want, both. And that is johnny-o.com. You can use the code BACK2U-MARCH. That's back the number 2 U March for 15% off. johnny-o.com. We thank our friends at Johnny O's. They've outfitted us with these great Back to You shirts. We love them. They've been super supportive of us from day one, and we just can't thank them enough. Our friends at AKG and Samsung for providing the equipment, Mura, and of course, our new partnership with Believe. You can find us on all audio platforms, and things are cooking, guys. We're doing good things, people. And by the way, always remember to like us, subscribe. Certainly that helps us out. So we appreciate the feedback too. If there's something you want us to talk about, let us know.
You're exactly right. And in any one of our social media platforms as well. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid to fire something out, because we're new at, we are new at this. We're not used to talking. We are used to talking. We talk a lot, but
we only do it for a living.
But to put it in perspective in this kind of show, there's things that people probably want and dive into. Anyway, hopefully that we can help out, and again, looking forward to climbing the ladder too. I think our show is different than a lot of other shows too, and we've had some phenomenal guests. We've had 17 episodes, and this is the first time that we actually haven't had a guest, and we did that on purpose, because we have the chance to just ramble on about a little bit of hockey right here, because it's getting the hottest part of the game of hockey, and that's what we look forward to here down the stretch, is maybe diving in a little bit more on the hockey side of it. So this is what makes it fun, gang. I can't wait. We're the trade deadline, and after that, we're going to be able to beat things up a little bit as well. So
got some good guests coming down the stretch here, so that'll be fun to get some new faces on the podcast. But it's going to be good. And Panger, you're working a ton, so we don't want to keep you much longer. We know you've got a game tonight in Colorado, so for the Hawks Avalanche game.
Yeah, it's a good run, actually. Thankfully, I've got a private jet with 282 of my closest friends that are on all my planes.
And a nice glass of vino waiting for you when you board after the game, right?
Yeah, I was a Saturday night at home against Columbus. Sunday morning, 4 a.m. car pickup to go to Atlanta for the studio show, which I had a blast in, by the way. And if you hadn't seen Biz talk about...
Oh my God, he was funny yesterday.
Did you see that? It was hilarious. He tried to say bleep brick house, and he wanted to beep out the S word to say brick house, but he beeped out the wrong word, and he just said it. I mean, it was just you can't teach that. That was great stuff right there. And then flew after that to here to Colorado, then to Arizona tomorrow for one game, and then fly back here to Colorado. So yeah, it is a busy, but that's what it's all about. That's what keeps us young.
I'm sorry I'll miss you in Arizona, Panger. I'm off to Fort Lauderdale tomorrow for a couple of days of golf, and then I'll be working some UFC stuff down in Miami this weekend. But catch you on the next
playing golf with over there in Florida, big guy?
Eddie Jovanovski's going to host me down at either Royal Palms or Adios. We've got a little option. So, but the weather doesn't look great, so fingers are crossed.
Well, have fun.
Well, tell Jovo I can't wait to play Adios with him. Maybe
Say
in the
hello
playoffs.
for us.
I have a feeling the Panthers are going to go a long way.
Panger's going to be at Adios in the Grove.
Testing out those Muras in Florida then when we're on the road for the playoffs.
Oh yeah, we'll tell Bill Holowati of Mira to get all our clubs special, or maybe we need like a few more sets of clubs. Just have them over there.
Just a few more.
Yeah, then we can go at it. That would be a good idea.
Good. He's actually taking care of Talk this summer. Him and Talk have been able to meet up in Vancouver, and he's going to outfit him and get him going. So, but
great sitters over in Vancouver. I went through that as well. That was
And first things first, because I do have my Vegas ticket on the Jack Adams Award. So, Talk, you better bring it home. Otherwise, you owe me money.
Nice. Love it.
It's a lot of pressure. Oh, wait a second. I vote on that.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Don't reveal yet. We'll save that for another episode.
No revealing.
All right, guys. It's been fun. Good to see you. Panger, have a great call tonight. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of Back to You. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thanks, KT. Good luck at NHL Network. Can't wait to see you.
Well, gang, on this show, we like to showcase an event or a story which caught our attention as relates to an achievement featuring hard work and dedication of one's craft. That's exactly what Back to You is all about. This is powered by Miura Golf. And when you think of Miura Golf, you think of Katsuhiro Miura, the founder of Miura Golf, and he's mastered the art of steel. Take a look at this. That's hand forged, baby, right there. That's what this is all about. Every forged club is handcrafted at the factory in Himeji, Japan, where Miura's meticulous process and attention to detail highlight the family's unwavering pursuit of perfection. And if that isn't Back to You, I don't know what is.